Hello, and welcome back to Soul Search Sunday. This is Johnny Tiger. The date is May 10th, Mother's Day 2020, week number 10 of the COVID-19 stay at home, social distancing, saving the world by staying away from people. um, First, let me say I hope that all the mothers out there, hope you all had a good one despite of what's been going on in the world in the past few crazy months. And I hope all the children, all the kids out there, those that were able to spend this Mother's Day with their mom, have had a new kind of revelation that now that we actually get a taste of a global crisis, how important it is to be able to spend time with those people who are the dearest to our heart. You know, sometimes we get aggravated and irritated and even enraged when we are trying to write something and then we get interrupted either by someone at home or someone uh, via a phone call or even a text message. I imagine with social distancing and people are staying home more with their family, you'll probably experience this more. You're trying to type out a message on social media, and the mom's calling you from downstairs telling you that to go check on the laundry or it's time for dinner. And then you may go down there and you may give her a little bit of attitude because you had something important on your mind that you wanted to put on social media. Well, this week, I want to tell you of an experience that kind of makes me feel that sometimes getting interrupted is not necessarily a bad thing. A couple of days ago, I was feeling a bit resentful about our Canadian government. So I sat down at the computer. I opened up Facebook and I was in the middle of typing out a rather passionate and scathing post talking about the injustice that I felt have been perpetrated towards those of us who are visually impaired or blind. Suddenly, just as I really got a good head of steam going, my phone rang. And yes, I admit I cursed and swore and muttered something not very complimentary before I picked up the phone, and it was my beautiful, intelligent girlfriend uh, calling to see what I was up to. I might have sounded a little resentful because, hey, I really was getting going. The creative juices were flowing. My fingers were on fire. My brains were in full gear. I was in the middle of writing out this anti-government post that was going to lay out how exactly I felt about our government. And she interrupted me. But I managed to keep a civil tongue and I told her, I was just in the middle of writing a Facebook post. Oh, she said, what is it about? At first, I was going to say something cryptic, something like, well, you'll find out when I finish, or something like, oh, nothing, just some private thoughts. But then I thought, my girlfriend is very smart, very intelligent, and a great listener. So why not share with her what's on her mind? And who knows? she may be able to help me refine what's already there or give me some new perspective. So I told her what was on her mind. I told her that just that morning I heard on the news that our government was freaking out because apparently back in April there was a 13% unemployment rate in Canada. The government is wanting people to go back to work and to pick the economy back up, and everyone was freaking out about the 13% unemployment rate in Canada in April. Well, let me tell you something. For the past, God knows how many years, maybe 20 years, 30 years, maybe longer, those of us who are visually impaired or blind have been unemployed as a major percentage. Now, as of right now, blind people makes up almost 2% of the entire Canadian population. And for the past years, there has been always been over 70% of blind Canadians that have been unemployed. Over 70%. And we are not talking about people who are not qualified. We're talking about a lot of these blind individuals have 3 or 4 PhD degrees. They have great abilities, fantastic musicians, fantastic at computers, fantastic at technology, great at working with tools, great at craft, and great at a lot of other in a lot of other areas. Honestly, when I look around in the blind people that I personally know, quite often I feel that almost every one of them more qualified, more talented, more intelligent, or more uh, skilled than I am. And it's a shame that in this great pool of talented, skilled, hardworking people, that the 70% or more that are not being utilized. And does our government care? Well, I don't know if they do or not, but the story that we keep hearing, the answer we keep getting from the government has been that there's nothing they could do, nothing they can do, or nothing that anyone's willing to do to change the situation. So 70, 80, 90% of blind Canadians have been unemployed, unappreciated for years and years, and no one gave uh, much of any care. And suddenly, people are freaking out because 13% of the country was unemployed because of COVID-19. That just makes me feel like uh, rather undeserving or unappreciated or unimportant to be a blind Canadian. Following on the tail of that, when Canadian government first started telling people to stay home and people can now apply for benefit, stimulus check, and all that stuff to help those people who either can't go to work or too scared to go to work, too sick to go to work, or just don't want to go to work. Within a month of announcing social distancing, the Canadian government rolled out this beautiful program that anyone who could prove that they are not working due to the coronavirus can get $2,000 a month. No questions asked. No form need to be submitted. No documentation need to be provided. They give you this phone number. You call this phone number, you press a few buttons, and then they send you a $2,000 check for this month. For those of you that don't know, it is the same government that said they had no money to improve the lives of blind people. For over 10 years, blind Canadians had to survive on a $900 monthly government benefit. Those who were lucky enough to have jobs could manage to scrape by, but those 70% or more that were unemployed had to try to survive on $900 a month. A lot of time, the majority of that went toward rent, leaving very little for grocery and almost no money at all whatsoever for any kind of luxury such as cable TV or internet, or even some uh, good cologne or shampoo. Everything had to be bargain price. Everything had to come out of a bargain bin. And what did the government tell us? We don't have the money. There's nothing we can do. And suddenly that government is handing out $2,000 to almost everybody who bother to pick up the phone and answer a few questions. $2,000 a month. As I was explaining all this stuff to my girlfriend, suddenly it dawned on me how ridiculous my thought had been, how ridiculous I was at feeling negative towards our government. After all, the coronavirus is an extreme crisis. It needs extreme measures, extreme times, takes extreme action. So are they wrong for giving people 2,000 a month? No, I shouldn't be mad at them for being able to do that. If we take a step back, if they were giving all these blind people, 70%, 80% unemployed blind people, thousands of dollars every month for the past 10, 20 years, maybe now they wouldn't have the ability to help people out when people really, really, really need their help. I remember my home country of Taiwan, which is now very, very close to the verge of bankruptcy because of their over generous government. People often talk about the great medical benefit in Canada, the free medical, yada yada yada, great disability benefit. In Taiwan, it's 10 times better. In Taiwan, as long as you are blind, you can apply for a new computer every 4 years. Government buy you a new computer, no matter if you need it or not. A lot of blind people end up making a lot of money selling their old technology on the second-hand market just because they can get a new one every 4 years. In Taiwan, medical covers dentistry as well as all the other stuff. From cancer treatment to spinal surgery down to uh, dental cleaning, everything is covered in Taiwan. The government there has been very generous to its people. These benefits were not only available to the poor, but anybody who qualified. This is to say that if you were a blind person in Taiwan, even if you were to be making $1 million a month, you would still qualify for the benefit because the government there believe that if you're blind, you deserve it. You deserve the benefit. It doesn't matter how much you make or how little you make. Sounds great, right? Well, in the long term, it's not such a good plan because While the disabled people are well taken care of, the government goes heavily in debt because of these extravagant social benefit and programs. Eventually, the government's going to run out of money, and there's nothing that people will be able to do then. So, in some ways, maybe it's been good that the Canadian government been holding back all these years, because now, when we are at the cusp of this economic and social crisis, we see our government stepping up and put in place some very powerful and immediate programs to make people's life better. And I was wrong to feel negatively towards them just because of my own experience as a blind Canadian. As to the unemployment rate, again, people have the right to freak out when the 13% of population be unemployed. That have nothing to do, really, with blind people being unemployed. After all, the unemployment for the blind has been happening for years and years, maybe 30 years, 40 years, maybe longer, maybe 100 years for all I know. But this massive unemployment rate is very new, very sudden. So obviously, this takes precedent over what we go through as blind people. Do I still feel that Canadian people, Canadian government as a whole, should do more to help those who are blind? Yes, of course. There's a lot more that could be done, a lot better things people can do. But that should not diminish the government in my mind now that they are doing their best to help those who have been negatively impacted by the coronavirus. Maybe freedom of speech, freedom of expression on social media is a good thing, but I think if more people would get interrupted by their mother, father, brother, sister, or girlfriend before they open up and write a negative or angry post on social media, maybe more people that have someone that they can voice their thought to before they put it out there on social media. The world, as far as the social media world goes, may be a much more peaceful and loving place. I remember hearing this quote when I was younger, and I think it's very relevant and a good way for us to close today's Soul Search Sunday. The quote goes, before you open your mouth, before you voice your opinion, ask yourself, do you have anything positive to say? And if the answer is no, then you should probably keep your opinion to yourself. Thank you again for checking out this week's Soul Search Sunday. We'll be back again for Music Monday tomorrow. Have a good night, everyone. Stay healthy, stay strong. I'll talk to you guys again soon.